Call halal Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushai B'Hashem HaKadosh. Double honors to the elder apostles and elder bishops of GMS, including the elders that came before them that taught us this truth. Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, and salutations to all the brothers out pushing the word of truth and in sincerity, the hopeful elect tabernacle of David. All right, so just going to quickly go into what's going on in the land that was promised to us, okay? We'll get a couple of precepts and just, just to get a little understanding, right, that this thing is going down. So let me quickly, this is the book of Luke 21. Let me get 21. Okay, and we'll got to read 5 or read 6. Salakia, Luke 21 and 6. As for these things which ye behold, the days will come. Okay, it's 2,000 years ago. The days will come in the which there shall not be left one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. Okay. And they asked him, saying, Master, but when shall these things be? When shall these days come? Okay. And what sign will there be when these things shall come to pass? Okay, well, guess what? This was written 2,000 years ago, but today is that time. When shall these things be? Now. And what sign will there be when these things? And he said, Take ye heed that ye be not deceived, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am a Mashiach, and the time draweth near. Go ye not thereafter them, okay? But when ye shall hear of wars and commotions, so here's the answer. He said, when shall these things be, and what sign will there be when these things shall come to pass? When ye shall hear of wars, we already got that one, and commotions, be not terrified. Okay? For these things must first come to pass, but the end is not by and by. So these are the beginning signs. All right? This word commotions. Let's look into that. 9 up here, NIV. When you hear of wars and uprisings, do not be frightened. When you hear of wars and insurrections, don't panic. Tumults, rebellions, okay, commotions, revolts. See that? Disturbances, rebellions, tumults, riots, seditions. You see all these words? Tumults, revolutions. Okay? Uprisings. All right? Good enough. Okay? There's that. Let's get another one. Let's get 2nd Ezra's 9. Okay? Second Ezra's 9 and 3. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes, we see that, right? Big earthquake, mass death in earthquake, and uproars of the people in the world. Okay? Then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. Okay, so we all know this. But what is going on today? Okay? Well, let's take a look. Let's go here. Okay? To this guy, City Prepping. All right? Let's hear what he has to say.
Of
course, there's a commercial. He's going to do his little intro and sell a couple of things, and then he'll get to business.
Some major developments are happening right now in Israel, threatening to send the nation into chaos. A new front
threatening to send the nation into chaos, all right? Over there in our land. Go ahead.
Nuclear escalation is playing out as Russia has made some very significant decisions. An infrastructure issue in Philadelphia is impacting.
Come on, get to
high-level overview. Let's discuss why this all matters. So on Sunday, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, he fired their defense minister Yoav Gallant, triggering a mass protest a day after Gallant broke ranks with the government.
Now, this mass protest has turned into an insurrection, a riot, okay, uprisings, commotions, tumults, okay? And what's really going on over there? It says Israel government to delay disputed judiciary bill amid mass protest. What is judiciary? See, and what they're going to do is they're going to use fancy words and cover up what they really mean. Okay, they're not going to come right out and say what's actually going on. Now, I can take a good guess as to why these things are going on. Okay, why? Because the people are being forced into situations that, you know, they don't want to go into, such as maybe a central bank digital currency. Okay, judiciary. All right. What they're changing the laws is what they're doing. Okay, and I can guarantee you they're changing the monetary system, just like they are right here and everywhere else. Okay, so don't get it twisted. Let him continue to talk around the problem.
Urged a halt to the highly contested plan to overhaul the judicial system. Now, the judicial overhaul Netanyahu is pushing through would tighten his party's control of the judicial appointments. Now, the defense minister, a former Navy admiral, he broke with his party and called such a move a clear and immediate and tangible threat to the security of the state. And that was just all on Sunday, and then chaos erupted. Tens of thousands of protesters took to the streets, reservists refused to train, and businesses and financial leaders, they sharply criticized the judicial reform plans. Protesters were targeted by water cannons outside of Netanyahu.
What did he say about business? Because business deals with money.
Now, the defense minister, a former Navy admiral, he broke with his party and called such a move a clear and immediate and tangible threat to the security of the state. And that was just all on Sunday, and then chaos erupted. Tens of thousands of protesters took to the streets, reservists refused to train, and businesses and financial leaders, they sharply criticized the judicial reform plans.
Business and financial. Okay, so they drop it in there, right, and then continue to obscure what's really going on. All right, what is going to cause people to get out in the street and start fighting against their government? What would do that? I'll tell you what. Bail in, freeze your money, force you into a new currency that you know are completely under control, right? That goes into defense. That goes into revamping the whole law system in there. It all works together.
Protesters were targeted by water cannons outside of Netanyahu's residence after breaking through a security point. Flights from Ben Gurion Airport were grounded, and seaports, banks, hospitals, and medical services, they were also set to stop work as the head of the National Labor Union, Histadrut, called for a general strike to stop the judicial overhaul.
Labor union. What do unions do? They make sure that you're getting the money that you want, right? And then judicial. Okay, that overhaul. This is going into, see, they're covering up what's really going on. All right? This has to do with what the world is doing right now. The world is moving into a one world currency, all right, which is a digital currency, all right? They're being corralled into it, and they don't want it. They don't like it. This is the result of it, right? Because what you got to do is you got to make everybody the same. You got to liquidate. You got to take everybody's money and force them into I's and O's, the digital realm, and then everybody is, basically in a slave state now. And this is the result. You get people. This is why uprisings, all right, insurrections, because they're not going to just, walk into it. It's going to be a fight.
Going ahead. Now, Netanyahu responded to this massive public outburst by suspending the immediately planned reforms and then pushing them to the next month in their parliament. This prompted the union to suspend its planned strikes.
Okay, see, look at that. Workers' union. Israel Workers' Union. Okay? This has to do with people going to work and getting paid. All right? And they're hiding it. All right? They're being forced into what we're being forced into.
Prompted the union to suspend its planned strikes. And the violent reaction did not spurn the prime minister's reversal of the termination yet. Still, it did garner an agreement to put the overhaul measure before the entire Knesset, the unicameral legislature of Israel, where Netanyahu and his allies control 64 of the 120 seats. Now, while that is a majority sufficient for the passage, the Likud party, which holds a majority, is fractured, as evidenced by the defense minister splitting off from his public support from the prime minister. Now, Netanyahu has already been under investigation for multiple charges of bribery and corruption, so he has anything but complete, unfettered support. So, why does this all matter? Israel is a wild card in the Middle East. They are fighting a war against Iran, even though the war has not been officially declared. The Iran-Israel proxy war has far too many chapters to delve into here, but suffice it to say that it has been going on for decades. Now, the Islamic State of Iran radicalized Hezbollah against Israel and Lebanon, and they are attempting to create a new radicalized group against Israel and Syria. Israel's often extreme measures have them actively engaged in the conflict in Syria. And as we reported last week, given the Russian jets are buzzing over the U.S. outposts in Syria, this war is poised to explode into a much greater degree at any moment. The U.S. and Europe will need a strong Israel. Now, without digressing too much into Middle East politics, which is more complex than calculus, Israel has acted as a buffer between the rest of the world's engagement in the more significant conflict. Their F-35s have conducted missions.
You see how we just kind of exited what's going on over there, and now we're into geopolitics as far as, who's fighting who. Wait a minute. What about, why are the Israelis fighting each other in a civil war over there and coming against their own government? What does that have to do with who owns the land, who wants who in the area? That's a different fight. You see how that just kind of took a left? And this guy, not that he works for Israel, but people aren't looking at what's actually going on. So,
Iranian airspace. They allegedly were behind the drone attacks on military installations.
See, so we're in a whole different. We're not in why these people are over there fighting. I mean, their government, all right? France is fighting their government. What does that have to do with who you're at war with over in the Eastern Europe? It has nothing. Okay. Now, what they all have in common is they're being forced into a central bank digital currency. That's what they have in common. Okay. Now, let's find out who's over there. Ezekiel 36 and 5. Okay. Ezekiel 36 and 5. Therefore, thus saith the Lord power, surely in the fire of my jealousy have I spoken against the residue of the heathen and against all Idumea. Okay. Which have appointed my land into their possession. Who did that? All Idumea, the Edomites, which have appointed my land into their possession with the joy of all their heart, with the spiteful minds to cast it out for a prey. Let's read that in the NLT. This is what the sovereign Lord says. My jealous anger burns against these nations, especially Edom, because they have shown utter contempt for me by gleefully taking my land for themselves as a plunder. Who did that? All Edom, the Edomites, have taken the land of Israel and calling themselves Israelis. Okay? So the Bible is telling you what's going on. This is not what I think is going on. All right? Now all we got to do is go to the Balfour Declaration, yeah? Let's do that real quick. Let's track it down. Something like that. Let's go to Wikipedia. The Balfour Declaration was a public statement issued by the British government in 1917 during the First World War, announcing its support for the establishment of a national home for the Jewish people in Palestine. Right? This is them. This is the Balfour Declaration. This is them appointing the Most High's land. See how they hid it in Palestine? No, it's called Israel now, right? Is it called Palestine? Palestina? No. It's Israel. Okay, see how they going around it? It'll tell you the whole story. Okay? The Balfour Declaration. Go back. Where were we? This is what the sovereign Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahushai, says. My jealous anger burns against these nations, especially Edom, because they have shown utter contempt for me by gleefully taking my land for themselves as a plunder. Let's read that down here. Which have appointed my land into their possession. Where? How? Where? When and how? Right here. All right. This is World War One. After World War II, they went in and took it. Okay? It's no secret. All right? Who did that? The Edomites. You can say whatever you want to. You can act like you're whoever you want to be. But who did this? Whoever did this, right? Whoever went and said, well, we're going to go in and we're going to take the land of Israel. Whoever did that, guess what the Most High called you? He called you all Idumea, which is all Edom. So you can say what you want to. And so what are those Edomites over there doing? If this was the kingdom, oh, well, this is the law of return and we get to go back to our homeland and all of that, guess what? It would be peaceful, would it not? Yeah, it would. Okay, so we're gonna bring this to an end real quick, but let's take a look at some of this insurrection, some of this riotous behavior, right? I saw this on a loop the other day, and I just felt I'd just bring it out, put it out there. Among other things that are going on. Where is it? It's lucky. Bear with me while I whip it out. Let's look at this. Oh, look at this. It's not available. Okay, so it was Israeli protests live. Tel Aviv embassy in India goes on strike after instruction from labor union. Okay. So it says Israeli embassy shut down across the world following strike against Netanyahu's judicial overhaul plan. Meanwhile, in India, the Israel embassy in Delhi has been instructed to remain closed and will provide no consular service until further notice. So, guess what's going on out here? Let's get this. Israeli protests. Let's get it. One day ago. Let's just go right here. 2 days ago. Okay, so what's going on in Israel? All right. With those Edomites that appointed the Most High's land into their own hand.
Israel, fiery protests erupting in the streets tonight. This comes just hours after embattled Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu dismissed his defense minister. That cabinet member said he would not support Netanyahu's attempts to take power from the judiciary. The battle over Netanyahu's plans is now intensifying. Here's ABC's Patrick Reevell.
Israeli cities tonight erupting in protest after Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu sacked his defense minister today, the country's political turmoil rapidly deepening. Netanyahu removing Yoav Gallant, a member of his own Likud party, after Gallant called for a pause in the government's controversial plan to weaken Israel's judiciary, essentially stripping its power to have final say on Israel's laws. The plan triggering weeks of massive protests, an estimated 300,000 citizens marching Saturday, many alleging the plan is a power grab that could make Israel an autocracy more like Turkey or Russia.
We all have to fight for our rights because of the plans of Benjamin Netanyahu that want to turn this nation into a dictatorship.
The unprecedented anger spreading to Israel's military, with hundreds of reservists refusing to report for duty. But for now, Netanyahu pressing on, with a key parliamentary vote expected this week on a law that would give the current ruling coalition ultimate control over most judicial appointments. Israel critics warning headed for an unprecedented constitutional crisis. Benjamin Netanyahu's opponents accuse him of weakening Israel's judiciary to protect himself, as he's on trial for serious corruption allegations. Netanyahu denies all charges, but those protesting say that this is escalating into an existential battle for Israel's democratic soul. Lindsay.
A dramatic upheaval there. Patrick, thank you.
Okay, so there it is, right? Let's get France. That's an easy one. If you can spell it. Okay. French. Protests continue. Escalate after Macron pushes through pension reform. Why does it have to do with money? Okay? It all has to do with money. This is now. These are uprisings now. Okay.
Tonight, fires across France. One protester telling us this is a war. Hundreds of thousands to the streets, outraged over French President Emmanuel Macron's unyielding determination to reform pensions here.
To reform pensions. See, those are cute words to say they're stealing our money and forcing us to go CBDC. This is why people take to the streets and start burning shit. Okay?
Of Macron is just
and this lady was probably planted there. Okay, come on. We're gonna turn the camera on you. You say these lines, and completely obscure what's really going on. We're not ignorant to Satan's
In
devices.
everything in our society.
Police clashing with protesters. This the 10th day of nationwide demonstrations since January. Some setting light to garbage, throwing projectiles, and smashing windows. In Paris, strikers shutting down popular tourist attractions, from the Louvre to the Eiffel Tower. Railway workers yielding flares, blocking the tracks at Paris's Gare de Lyon train station. French authorities responding with what they're calling an unprecedented show of force. 13,000 police officers deployed across the nation. The chaos stretching far beyond the capital. Police are fighting running battles with protesters in the streets. Things are being thrown. There's some guy here just been arrested. In Nantes, protesters scuffling with riot police, engulfed in clouds of tear gas. Massive crowds stretching across highways in Rennes. The historic unrest sparked by President Macron's plan to raise the retirement age from 6.
You believe that they're out there fighting because they put 2 years on the pension plan? No. This is what they're telling you. They're out there fighting because their money got took. Okay? You wipe out somebody's bank account, what are they going to do? They're going to do this.
62 to 64, ramming the measures through his country's legislature without a vote. His party says the country will rack up a deficit of more than $10 billion every year through 2032 if nothing is done.
Wait a minute. So you mean that France is one of the only countries in the world that isn't moving to a CBDC? Is that what you're saying? And this is why they're fighting? And they're not going to fight when they get forced into a CBDC? They're fighting for this. Come on. Same thing with Israel. Why is Israel fighting when they got people sending them money and why are they fighting? They can do what the hell they want to do over there in that land.
Protesters on the street not budging. I can see colleagues who work in school cafeterias as school maintenance workers, who at the end of their workday, although they're less than 60 years old, they already have physical difficulties. And one can't imagine what that would be like working until 64 years old.
Okay, now remember, when somebody gets on the camera, they set that thing up. They ain't just going to let anybody talk. Right? They got full control of the media. They wouldn't put it on the news if they didn't have full control over what is being said. So keep that in mind.
That's not possible. Cracks may be emerging, though. Paris sanitation workers suspending their weeks-long strike that has left mounds of trash piled high in city streets. Macron's government also signalling an olive branch, saying the president has said that he's ready to meet with the unions once because we respect our institutions. Macron increasingly unpopular, despite his re-election last year, looking for a legacy, a battle of wills between the president and his people.
Understand fully, all of this is not about adding 2 years till you get your pension. Come on now. How about Peru? Two months, 1 month, 3 weeks, 2 months, 1 month, 20 hours. What is it? That's France. 1 day. Kenya, opposition protests turn violent. Okay. So they're fighting in Kenya. Peru, unrest, 1 month. All right, so just, it's going on everywhere. And you best believe this is where they, are being switched over. They have succeeded in China. 3 months. China is on straight CBDC lockdown, 15-minute city. Okay? So you ain't gonna hear a lot from them no more because they're they're on lock. I believe in Australia is on lock. When I say lock, I mean you locked into that CBDC. Okay, I'm gonna do a lesson on the countries that are under the CBDC now. Okay, and there's a good maybe 10. All right, so yeah, let's look at that again. Let's look at what? Bear with me, Luke. Okay. Now that we've watched them fighting in the streets, Luke 21 and 9. And when you hear of wars and uprisings, do we have to go into the war? The other guy did. He went from uprising in the street to the wars in the Middle East. Okay. Wars and uprisings, rebellions. It's a little rebellion out there in France, is it not? Commotions, revolt. All right, rebellions, riots. Okay, all these things mean the same thing. Riots. This is a sign. All these are the beginning of sorrows. Okay? These things must first happen, but the end is not imminent. So we gotta, hey. Then he told them, okay, yeah, we gotta hold on. Okay? All right, but these are the signs of what? Okay, there's steps to this thing, right? Before we get to the end, and it's gonna get worse. All right? Let's get that real quick. Let's go to Matthew. Matthew 24 and 8. All these are the beginning of birth pains, beginning of sorrows. Let's see. All these are the beginning of sorrows, birth pains, birth pains. We're having a baby over here. Labor pains, the beginning of travail, sorrows, childbirth, labor pains. Okay? And what must we do? You have to make it to the end to be saved. Okay, this is the beginning, but you got to make it to the end. But the one who stands firm to the end will be saved. The one who endures till the end, perseveres to the end. Okay? He that endureth till the end, the same shall be saved. But if you keep on being faithful right to the end, you will be saved. So we have got to pull out that endurance. Okay? You see, whoever holds out to the end. Okay? Stand firm to the end. You want to be saved? You got to make it through all of this. Let's see, let's go back. Okay? All of this craziness, right? And it's began.
Tonight, fires across France, across highways in Rennes. Police are fighting running battles with protesters in the streets. Things are being thrown. There's just some guy here just been arrested. In Nantes, protesters scuffling with riot police, engulfed in clouds of tear gas. Massive crowds.
There'll be a lot of things going on, right? Let's get one more, we'll close it. Scarcely. First Peter 4 and 18, and if the righteous scarcely be saved, where shall the ungodly and sinner appear? Right? And also, if the righteous are barely saved, right, what will happen to the godless sinners? Right? If the righteous one is saved with difficulty, you ain't gonna just skip, chew bubble gum, right, and yo-yo your way into the kingdom. All right? You gotta go through this. It's gonna be bad out here. Okay? This. It's gonna be bad. All right, so with that, we hope that the elect are edified. Brothers and sisters, it's going down, so get your head in the game. All right, with that, I'm gonna say Shabbat Shalom.